dead of night, the sound of growling rumbled through the darkness of Babylon. With eyes closed and lips moving in silent prayer, Daniel stood still as a pair of fierce glowing eyes pierced through the shadows, and the hungry, stalking footsteps of the lions drew nearer. But how did it come to this? How was a faithful servant of the king condemned to die in this brutal way? Let's rewind and find out. Based on this sticky situation, you might think that Daniel was not on good terms with King Darius, the ruler of Babylon. But actually, since being brought to this city as a young man from Israel many years ago, he had risen to a position of power and favor with Babylon's kings due to his wisdom, integrity, and unwavering devotion to his God. But with the power comes envy, and among the king's advisors and officials, there was jealousy brewing. They despised Daniel's influence and the fact that this foreigner had gained the trust and respect of their king. Desperate to bring about his downfall, they plotted in secret. But Daniel's life was blameless, and his heart was pure, and so they decided to plan a cheap trick, one which they knew would hit Daniel where it hurt the most: his faith. One morning, King Darius's men approached him, bowing and scraping. "O king, live forever," they began. "We have come with a proposal that will solidify your reign and honor your greatness. Issue a decree, O king, that for 30 days no one in the kingdom may pray to any god or man except you. Anyone who disobeys will be thrown into the den of lions." Darius did not understand why his men wanted this rule to be made, but still their words were sweet to his ears. To be honored as a living God, to have his subjects worship him and him alone, what could be wrong with that? Without thinking through the consequences, Darius sealed the decree by pressing his signet ring into the wax, unaware that he'd also just sealed his beloved Daniel's fate. The decree was quickly spread throughout the streets of Babylon, and Daniel heard it with solemn silence. The laws of the Medes and the Persians could not be altered, even by the king himself. But Daniel's heart did not waver. His faith was like the roots of a great tree, deep and unmovable. He would not, could not turn his back on the God of Israel, not even to escape the deadly threat he was under. 3 times a day, just as he'd always done, Daniel went to the upper room of his house. The window opened toward Jerusalem, the city of his ancestors, and Daniel knelt to pray. His voice was quiet, but his prayer was filled with strength. He prayed for his people, for deliverance, for courage, and for the glory of God to be revealed. The conspirators watched from the shadows, their eyes gleaming with triumph. They had him. Once and for all, they had him. With haste, they threw themselves before the king. "O king, live forever," they said, their voices filled with evil glee. "Did you not issue a decree that for 30 days no one may pray to any god or man except you? And did you not decree that anyone who disobeyed would be thrown into the den of lions?" The king nodded, oblivious to their scheme. "The decree stands, as is the law of the Medes and the Persians." Looking at each other, with false sorrow, they whined, "And yet Daniel, the man you have favored above all, has defied your command. Even now he prays 3 times to his God, disobeying your law." King Darius's heart instantly sank. He had been trapped by his own decree, tricked by those he was meant to trust. He knew that Daniel was faithful to him, but above all, to God, and the thought of sending this man to his death, who had served him so loyally, gnawed at his soul. All day, the king searched for a way to bypass the law and to save Daniel, but there was no way out. All his power as king was powerless before the decree he had sealed. And so Daniel was brought before the lion's den, a pit of darkness where the great beasts lay in wait, their roars echoing in the night. The air smelled of death, and the ground trembled under the weight of their footsteps. King Darius looked into Daniel's eyes, his heart heavy with guilt and sorrow. "May your God, whom you serve so faithfully, rescue you," he whispered. Daniel stood silent and calm before the pit, his spirit at peace. He had entrusted himself to the God who had delivered his people from Egypt, the God who had parted the sea and fed them with manna from heaven. He knew that his fate rested in hands far greater than those of a Babylonian king. He entered the den, and a heavy stone was dragged across its mouth, sealing Daniel inside. King Darius returned to his palace, but the night seemed to go on forever, and sleep would not come to him. He paced the halls, tormented by the thought of Daniel being torn apart by the lions, and no music or comfort could bring him relief. At first light, before the sun had even risen fully, the king rushed to the den. His voice, filled with desperation, echoed through the stone. "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God saved you from the lions?" For a moment, there was nothing but silence. Then, from the depths of the pit, a voice rang out. "O king, live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not harmed me, because I was found innocent in his sight." Darius's heart soared with relief and joy. Immediately he commanded that the stone be removed, and Daniel was lifted from the den without even a scratch on his body. The lions, fearsome though they might be, had been tamed by the hand of the Almighty. And as for the conspirators, the men who'd sought Daniel's death through tricks and treachery, they were brought before the king and, as justice commanded, were cast into the very same pit they had prepared for Daniel. Before their bodies even touched the floor of the den, the lions leapt upon them, and the roar of the beasts filled the air once again. King Darius issued a new decree, which was spread far and wide throughout his empire. "In every part of my kingdom, people must fear and worship the God of Daniel, for he is the living God who endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed, and his dominion will never end. He rescues and he saves. He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions." And so Daniel's faith was vindicated, and the name of the God of Israel was praised even in the heart of a foreign kingdom. Daniel, the exile and servant of the Most High, would live on to serve under kings and empires, his story a testament to the power of faith. For even in the darkest of places, surrounded by fearsome beasts, the hand of God was with him, and nothing, not even the jaws of death, could overcome